I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. You can try to save yourself, but you only go.
What's going on, guys? JK, I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be looking at Ryan Wilson's rankings of each position by top 10 prospects that he has broken down before the combine this week. But before we get into it, please make sure to like the video, comment down below anything you agreed or disagreed with so we can have a conversation down below about it, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for future NFL content I'm going to be putting out, whether it's NFL Combine, draft, free agency, all that good stuff that's coming up. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. So look at this. Ryan Wilson has broken down each one of his top 10 players for just overall and by each position. So I'm gonna go ahead and break these down and kind of look at them, give my opinions on them, kind of based on what I think and the different stuff like that. So his top 10 overall prospects, regardless of any positions, usually most of the time I don't really agree with Ryan Wilson, but kind of skimming through this, I do agree with a lot of the stuff that he has putting out. The one thing I would do here at the start, he has Travis Hunter number one, Abdul Carter number two. Those two guys are pretty much interchangeable. Interchangeable, in my opinion. I would have Abdul Carter at number one, and then Travis Hunter at number two. But consistent wise, his top three are pretty much the top three players that everybody pretty much has overall. So Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and Mason Graham. Those are pretty much all the top guys that everybody's gonna have. Travis Hunter, it's gonna be interesting to see if he plays corner, wide receiver at the combine this week. He's going to be working out at corner, so it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how it goes. Abdul Carter, in my opinion, I think he is the best football player in this class. He's just a natural edge rusher, kind of has that Micah Parsons type build to him. Everybody knows about him, and if there is a non-quarterback taking at number one, I do think it's going to be Abdul Carter if it's not Cam Ward or Shador Sanders. Mason Graham is a huge point. He's a huge game wrecker. He ends up causing havocs on the inside. He's going to be a very good pick for a lot of teams on the interior defense line. As of right now, a lot of people think that he is going to go to the Jaguars at 5. I do think he's the third best player in this class, regardless of position. Tedder McMillan's interesting though because a lot of people, it really depends. He's obviously the number one wide receiver in this class, but like recently, Daniel Jeremiah and his board with a lot of his sources that he has Tedder McMillan falling down all the way to 19. So it's gonna be interesting to see if there's any character concerns or anything like that, any type of concerns from NFL teams as they end up scouting just based on what Daniel Jeremiah has. But I do think he's going to be a top 10 pick, whether it's to somebody like the Panthers or maybe even the Patriots all the way up to 4. He definitely has a wide range of area that he's going to end up going. He could go anywhere from number 4 all the way down to 20. So really depends. And one of the interesting things and glad things I see from Ryan Wilson here too is Kelvin Banks and Mike Green. Those are two of my favorite guys in this class. Kelvin Banks, in my opinion, is the number one tackle overall in this class. But I do think it's shocking that he has him this high. I don't necessarily know if he's the number 5 best player in this class, but I do really do like him. He's the number one tackle in my opinion. And Mike Green's somebody that I've fallen in love with that a lot of other people have been kind of I think he's going to rise up a lot of other people's boards over the next couple weeks and the next couple months until we get up to the draft. And all in all, if I had to make a guess, in my opinion, I do think Mike Green is going to be a top 10 pick. He led the college football in sacks and tackles for losses. He has tons of production, dominated the Senior Bowl. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Armand Membu's a great pick in there. In my opinion, he is the second best offensive lineman, so I agree with Ryan Wilson there. James Pierce is a weird one. I think he's going to have a big impact this week because there's a lot of character concerns around him and a lot of different mock drafts. He's been falling down boards. Some people think he might even fall out of the first round if certain character concerns. Maybe the Eagles end up taking him, but it really just depends. He has all the talent in the world, although he doesn't have freak athletic ability or anything like that. But he does have that character concerns after all the productions they've putting up. Will Johnson also has a lot of the injury concerns that a lot of teams have. So these last three that he has with Pierce, Johnson, and Loveland, I don't necessarily think that they're in the top 10. I think that he should add other prospects in there, like a Shamir Stewart, somebody like that, into this area. Or, like a Will Campbell, I think should be included. But one that I definitely don't see in here that I'm very shocked is not is Ashton Genty. Ron Wilson must be very low on a lot of these running backs, but I think it's very weird that he doesn't have Ashton Genty in a loaded running back class in this, considering Genty could be a number 10 overall pick. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to his actual position breakdowns. Um, with his quarterback rankings here, he has Cam Ward number one. I agree with him there. Cam Ward, it's pretty much the same as what I would have. One interesting thing is that he does have McCord over Jalen Milrow. I don't think it's too crazy, but it's definitely interesting though. Not a lot of people are gonna have that. But I agree with him here. I do think Cam Ward is gonna be number one. Shador is gonna be number two. I do think people are gonna be shocked because Jackson Dart, in my opinion, I think Jackson Dart's gonna go in the first round. I think some team in the early second round that didn't get a quarterback in the top 10. They didn't get Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. I think a team is going to move up from the early second into one of the last picks in the first round to be able to go jump up and draft Jackson Dart in the first round. But those quarterbacks, those are pretty much all what I would agree with. It's all pretty much raw talent. Here's the thing with the running backs. Amarion Hampton and Genty are number one and two. I'm surprised he has Travion Henderson over Caleb Johnson, but this is something Daniel Jeremiah did as well. So a lot of scouts must be really liking Travion Henderson. And I'm very surprised he has Tootin over Judkins. But this is a historic running back class. This is going to be one of the best running back classes in history. And we could see all the way up like Daniel Jeremiah had. He had three running backs in the first round. And I think Genty and Hampton are a lot closer than what people think. And this could be a kind of an argument. I mean, Genty's going to be number one overall, but I think it's a lot closer between the two than what people think with Genty all the way up on a pedestal compared to Hampton. Hampton's a lot closer in his field than what a lot of people are going to give him credit to be able to be. And then moving on to the next one, we are going to have his receivers. His receivers here, Tedero Milani is number one overall to be able to see. Number two overall, he does end up having Luther Burton there in that spot. And he ends up having Travis Hunter number two, which is very interesting because it really depends. I don't think Travis Hunter is going to primarily play wide receiver. I don't think he should. I think he might end up trying to push for that to be able to go both ways, but I'm not sure about that. And Golden, I think, would be above Burton. I think Matthew Golden's going to be one of the top receivers taken. I think he's going to be the number, depending on how you view Travis Hunter. I think Golden is going to be taking over Luther Burton. I think Golden's going to go out at the combine before he ends up with these rankings. And once Golden goes out and he blows up the combine, he's going to go over some of these guys like Luther Burton in many of these situations. But the main one I wanted to look at here was the offensive line. I've been doing a lot of offensive line breakdowns in my channel. So if you haven't seen those, please go and look. I have a whole playlist of all the offensive linemen that I've broken down. But looking at these are just offensive tackles. So that's another viewpoint here. It's just tackles. So people like Tyler Booker will not be included because he's pretty much just a guard. But I really do agree with Ron Wilson in a lot of this, and not a lot of people will because a lot of people have Will Campbell number one. I'm not the biggest Will Campbell fan compared to some, but with this, I do think Kelvin Banks is number one. I think Kelvin Banks is the most true tackle in this class. He plays with both the run and the pass technique. He's very aggressive in the run game to be able to get movement, and he also uses great technique on the field in his pass sets, and he identifies a lot of blitzes and stunts to be able to play at number one. So I do think, in my opinion, Kelvin Banks is my number one tackle. He may not have the highest floor. In my opinion, Kelvin Banks is a huge boomer bust type guy. So it really gonna depend. If he hits, he's gonna be an all pro tackle, but he does have a high bust percentage, in my opinion, than out of most of these guys. So you're kind of taking a risk there with Kelvin Banks at taking him overall with the number one tackle. But in my opinion, I do think he is because if you're taking a tackle in the first round, you might as well go for the fences and try to be able to hit that home run, kind of similar to what the Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders argument as well. And number two, this is something I really like too. Armand Membu at number two. Armand Membu has a crazy first step. He's been mostly playing right tackle for Missouri. He does a lot of outside zone schemes, and he's able to end up sealing off the edge where they do run that outside zone scheme with Missouri. In my opinion, I do think Membu needs to be a guard at the next level with him being 6'3". And the arm length of a lot of these guys are going to affect their draft stock. If their arm length is not long enough, a lot of teams are going to view them as a guard. I think Mimbu is going to be a guard. I think he's going to be similar to that Elijah Vera Tucker build for the New York Jets. So whenever that happens, Mimbu being able to play guard, to be able to have the flexibility to play tackle and bounce out the tackle, I think that's going to be more of his role. And then Will Campbell at 3, I agree with this. I think Will Campbell, he struggles sometimes with the inside move. He oversets a lot of guys. Where he oversets them, he's giving them his inside pass to the quarterback, and a lot of people are able to capitalize on that a lot of the times. In what he does, so that kind of just moves him down the board, and he plays a little bit too high of a pad level. He needs to be able to get lower. He's not as aggressive. So, in my opinion, that's kind of what brings him down to number 3 for me. And then Josh Simmons is a guy that has all the talent in the world, and he has great technique with everything, and he's one of the best all-around offensive linemen in this class. He was just injured, though, and he had a knee injury. And when he had his knee injury, he's been out for the entire year. So what's his medicals going to be like? What's it going to be like when teams take over and actually look at his knee and see how he's going to be ready by the next season? So it really just depends on that with Josh Simmons, is how's his medicals going to be this week at the combine. But this is a guy that could have been offensive tackle number 1 if he never ended up getting hurt. So that's really what's going to affect his draft stock here. Those are the main positions I want to look at, mostly the offensive line of Ryan Wilson. I usually don't agree with him, but here, a lot of his rankings here, I definitely agree with so far. But please make sure to like the video, comment down below anything you agreed or disagreed with that I talked about, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for future NFL content. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, feel like John Morant. Need a triple double. Told him check the stats. Yeah, I got a couple. I don't drop the ball. Now I never fumble. I'm the MVP. Now I feel like Russell. Feel like John Morant. Need a triple double. Told him check